There's a thin line between showing up for yourself and then forming something that you're not. But I always say that when you become aware of your vision and the purpose that you want to fulfill on the earth, when you're fully aware of it, you already know how you need to show up. We invested at the time 3 million or 4 million trying to shoot content to sell to a TV station. That's how much I really wanted a TV show. Back then in the days, we shot the content.
Do you know how much 4 million would have been?
We shot the content, but the content never came out till this day. That's how much I was determined to make my vision a reality.
So not growing up particularly into wealth and then reinventing yourself to being a woman of class and elegance and now excellence obviously was a journey. Now for the young girl watching that doesn't have access to a Montessori school, doesn't have access to a private uni, doesn't have access to culinary classes, to yoga classes, to speech therapy, but she would like to be the best version of herself, showing up every day confident, classy, poised. What would you say is an everyday tip, because I know that that's your forte, that she has to start to apply and then build up into being that?
So it's not just a tip.
Okay.
Remember I said for me it's not just one ingredient, there's so many layers and components to things. So the very first thing I'd advise anybody who is looking to level up their lives, especially with regards to how they carry themselves, how they show up with grace and with confidence, is first of all, go back into the past. Go back to your foundational years and heal from your traumas.
For that person
you want to become. That just because you've tried once and then you failed doesn't mean that you have actually failed. You can actually try again with a different strategy and be better.
Question I think would be, for beginner creators, specifically food creators, with your wealth of knowledge, what would you say is, aside from consistency, obviously?
I've heard that word a million times. I'm like, it's not consistency.
Obviously, there has to be something else. What is the secret ingredient?
So there's no one secret ingredient. So what made me stand out was
Welcome to the LIMBsimple Podcast, where we have conversations that move you forward, stretch your imaginations, and feed your soul while keeping it very simple. My name is Nwania. Now today, if you've ever felt stuck between chasing your dreams and reality, if you've ever wondered about how to turn your passion into reality and into a huge platform, if you've ever felt like you needed to do all of this while remaining your authentic self, then girl, this podcast is for you. Today, I am joined on the podcast with a powerhouse. I have the beautiful Winifred Nwania. She is a woman that wears many crowns and wears them so well with elegance, poise, and style. She's the queen behind the Zeelicious food, where she does really healthy, delicious, rather very appealing meals to help you live your best life right now and to keep you living your best life for the longest. Now, if you're about learning poise, elegance, and how to live life to the fullest, then you want to stick to this. But then that's not just all about it. She is on a mission to help the woman right now to build a life that aligns with their vision, help them align their faith with competence, and build lives that are financially empowered and spiritually grounded. Like, yes. So if you're all about this, then this podcast, you do not want to skip this. On here today, we'll be talking about business win, personal pivot, soft girl era, elegance, and how to be the best version of yourself. So whether you are, a busy mom, a 9-to-5, you're a baddie, or you're looking to get into your soft girl era, then you do not want to skip this episode. And yes, we're going to keep it very real, very deep, and this is going to be nourishing. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with me.
The pleasure is mine.
You look so beautiful.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. And you likewise.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on the podcast.
You're welcome. Before we go into the podcast, right, I'd like for anybody coming across, you have a huge following on social media. I know that you have about 1.7 million subscribers on YouTube.
Over a million, just a little bit over a million.
Okay, over a million.
Yes,
all right, great.
Yes.
Now, in case anyone is seeing you for the first time, or they know you already from, your social media presence, I would like them to take home from this podcast one thing. What would you want for them to take home, after listening to this?
The take home I would like to give would be every individual is dynamic. There is so many parts to a person, and keeping yourself stuck to one part is the greatest mistake anybody can make. So I've discovered on my own journey that I can be many things, and I'm wearing many hats, like you have said. I'm a nutritionist, I cook, I teach elegance, and I also teach excellence. So I wear many hats, and I've discovered that a person can actually have and wear many hats on their journey. So limiting yourself to just one is the worst thing you can ever do for yourself.
Beautiful. So we constantly need to keep evolving and innovating ourselves.
Yes, and discovering new things about ourselves, yes.
Now, you, in my books, and I strongly believe in the books of a lot of other women listening, have built something that is the envy and the joy of, the women in our generation. And by that, I mean you've built a successful brand. Mind I say brands, and you and in all of this you showed up authentically. You've launched a lot of platforms. You've been ambassadors to both local and international brands. You've had so many speaking engagements. You are the epitome of beauty and brains. Now my question my question is, as a young girl, let's say way back 10, early puberty, did you already know right there that I wanted to be, the goddess on the screen teaching you how to cook, really healthy meals? Or did you evolve into this?
Okay, so when I was much younger, in my teenage years, I knew that I was born to be something. I knew that I wasn't just the normal girl. There was a fire deep down, and I really didn't know. Of course, I didn't have the direction and where to how to go about things, but I just knew deep down that I was definitely born to be outstanding. But unfortunately, I found myself in an environment that didn't seem to be an outstanding environment, or an environment that could propel me into this thing I was feeling on the inside. And so because of that conscious feeling of there is something within you that needs to come out, I just began a quest for knowledge and to be, let me take you back a little bit. Let's backpedal a bit. So I lost my dad at the age of 12. And things became really difficult for my family. My mom was a full-time housewife when my dad was alive. So you can imagine the responsibility she had to shoulder, taking care of 7 children. I'm the 5th child of 7 children. And so she had to do it alone. And because back then, I don't know if you guys know the Igbo culture.
I do. I'm Igbo, I know.
Yeah, so my father was the breadwinner. And then his family, I'm not shading them, but yeah. They came for us. And then they left us hanging dry, very dry. My mom literally had to start life afresh. She had no business experience, nothing. Had to take care of 7 children. And the life that I once knew became something totally different. And then because of that, I found myself in environments that did not match what I was feeling on the inside. But I was determined to make something beautiful out of my life. I remember the day my dad passed away. I've told this story many times, but I'll say it again here. It was the day nobody in the house wanted to cook. Nobody wanted to make anything. But I found I think it was my coping mechanism at the time, because I was daddy's girl. And because the reality of his death hit me, and instead of crying, I wanted to feel like I was in charge. So I said I was going to cook. And so I went into the kitchen to make jollof rice, and it was the worst jollof rice I ever made.
Had you cooked before then?
Never cooked before.
Bold of you.
Never. But because of this value I had inside of me to always win at everything I did, I didn't take that as defeat. I took that as a lesson to re-strategize and try again. So I went the next day. I said even my brothers that can eat anything couldn't eat that jollof rice that day. That's how bad it was. So the next day, I thought to change my strategy because I really wanted to win at it. And then I found myself going back and forth, asking my mom for guidance on, okay, I've put the onions, what am I going to put next? And then the back and forth continued. And I I came out cooking with a better jollof rice
Than the previous time.
And then that sparked up something in me. It taught me a lesson, and that lesson I still carry till this day, that just because you've tried once and then you fail doesn't mean that you have actually failed. You can actually try again with a different strategy and be better. And that experience actually evoked the passion for cooking. And I found that I was drawn to the kitchen. I just always wanted to cook, get in there, help my mom out as much as possible, even sometimes decide to do the cooking myself. And before long, I became, I won't say an expert cook, I just liked to cook the basic things. And my mom would tell me, girl, everybody wants to be out of the kitchen. You are wanting to be inside. I didn't know that God was already helping direct my path and just carve a niche for me. At the time, I just thought it was just going to be something that my family would enjoy. Maybe my husband and children would enjoy my cooking skills. But then after I went to NYSC, I served. I remember there was a program on camp called the SIDE, Acquisition and Entrepreneurship Development, and everybody was supposed to learn a skill. All of my friends were going to learn hair, makeup. I wasn't that girl. So I looked inward and I said, okay, what's that thing that I really like to do? And I was like, okay, I like to cook. So I went and started looking for a culinary trainer on camp, because we had different trainers come to camp. And then I joined, and then the lady who taught us on camp that day made something with yams that I've never seen before. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And that's also now sparked up another passion for food. I'm like, okay, I'm used to making the regular rice, beans, eba and stuff. Does that mean that there's more that I can do? And so I started exploring. And that's how the journey just kept taking me from one exploration to the next. I wanted to go to culinary school at some point, but it was so expensive. And I couldn't afford it. But instead of giving up, what I did was I found one of the best schools in Nigeria. No, wasn't Nigeria. It was actually abroad. Went to their website, checked out their curriculum, downloaded all of their books, and then I started. I bought them, and then I started to learn, not just experimenting cooking, because cooking is an art. You need to understand some basic things and some basic principles that guides the overall. It's not just about, okay, bring the pot, put the stuff. No, it's way beyond that. So I had to learn some cooking techniques. I had to learn some cooking skills, and the books that I bought guided me. And then, of course, I watched lots of videos and all. And that's how I became very professional at this. And then I thought, okay, you know what? We better start something out of this. And then I started Zeelicious Foods. Okay. And then I didn't start Zolicious Foods as Zeelicious Foods. I remember I had a BB, a BlackBerry phone. Okay. And I would take pictures. I would make the food, take the pictures, and post on my display picture at the time. And everybody in my contacts would be like, okay, girl, can you share this recipe? What's this? Because I was always experimenting with different things. And then I would find myself sharing the recipe individually to my friends. And then my sister said, okay, why not start a blog? I said, okay. So she taught me how to start a blog. And I remember I was using one site called simplesites.com. Very basic stuff. Then I started. Every time somebody would ask for a recipe, I'll give them the link to go check it out on the blog. And then people started visiting the blog. Then my sister said, okay, take it up a notch. We went on Instagram, created an Instagram account, Facebook account. And
what year was this?
This was, I think, 2013, 2014.
Interesting.
I was just done serving, and then I was just about to start my 9-to-5, yes. And then people started following. Before I realized what was going on, I already had like 10K followers on Instagram and then on Facebook as well. So I was like, okay, there's something here. But I eventually got a 9-to-5. Like everybody else, I wanted to have a 9-to-5. So I went and got a 9-to-5, but I was never happy at my 9-to-5. I was never happy. I always just found myself cooking in the kitchen. My boss would give me a task, and I'm not someone who likes to fail at what I do. I like to succeed. So when I found myself not succeeding at work, even though I had the brains for it, I realized that the reason I wasn't succeeding was not because I couldn't do the job, was because my heart and soul was not there. It was somewhere else. So you would come on my laptop then, and all of the tabs you would find would be tabs about cooking, some article about food, something. My whole mind was on food. It got so bad one day, my boss had given me a task. He expected me to deliver at a certain time that day. But then I took the task and I started. I found it very boring. After about 30 minutes of working on the task, I was like, I beg shift. So I moved the task to the side and started working on something relating to food. I didn't even know the gravity of that. That was when I realized that, girl, this is not for you. You need to decide what you want to do at the point. And so he came back and he's like, okay, where's what I have asked you to do? And I'm like, oh, I'm still working on it. And then he blew up in anger, like, girl. I mean, of course, he didn't call me girl, but you get what I mean. So but that's when I realized that I'm not
working in my purpose.
This was not my purpose. It wasn't making me happy. I didn't enjoy waking up at 4 o'clock because I was living on the mainland at the time and my office was on the island. I didn't enjoy waking up at 4 a.m., get dressed and go to something I didn't like. When I told everybody I was quitting, I was at the job for about a year and a half. And when I told everybody I was quitting, they thought I was cuckoo in the brain. Yes, even my boss didn't want me to quit because, are you crazy? What are you going to do? Okay, you don't have a plan. There is nothing. But I'm like, there was something inside of me that was calling. I needed to give it attention, and there was no way I could do the both of them at the same time. At the time, I wasn't even scared, to be honest, because I was too naive.
I need to know, at this point, had you already gathered a lot of following on social media?
At this point,
did you already have like a vision of what you were doing?
No vision, no direction, nothing.
Just purpose.
I just wanted to do this thing called food.
Okay.
Because I had amassed quite a lot of knowledge and I wanted to bring it into the world.
Just wanted to info dump. I can tell you exactly that.
So nobody understood what I was seeing on the inside. They didn't get it. So I made a mistake. I listened to people. I listened to their doubts. I listened to their insecurities. They were projecting themselves on me. And because of that, I stayed longer at a job that didn't bring me any fulfillment. I stayed way longer, and I wish that I didn't, but everybody learns from experience. But eventually, after I listened and I kept staying, I was like, no, this is not working for me.
It's not
serving me in any way. People's concerns were, how are you going to take care of yourself? How are you going to survive? How are you going to live? And I'm like, but this is not making me happy. So I was torn between the devil and the deep blue sea, and I needed to make a choice. Thankfully, I chose the choice of stepping out of the 9 to 5 and then walking into my purpose. This is not to say that anyone should leave just like that. Like again, I said at the time, I was too ignorant to be afraid of anything. I was like, what? And I was still pretty young. So I was like,
what's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst that can happen? God will keep fighting for us and we'll keep moving forward. But that was the best
decision that you ever made.
One of the best decisions I ever made with my life. And I'm so glad that I made that decision. So that's the story of how Zolicious Food started. And then when we now started Zolicious Foods, officially, I think it was in 2017, I registered the company, and then we now officially started creating YouTube videos in 2018.
I want to know the name Zeelicious Food. Is it an acronym? Is it, your name combined? I know Zeelicious, like delicious, but like the Z, I want to know.
Okay, so Zeelicious was coined from 2 words.
Okay.
Zeal and delicious. So the girl is always very zealous. I love to cook. And then
it's delicious.
So that's how I coined the name Zolicious Food.
Very smart. I don't feel like it was your name, but that's really smart.
Thank you.
Zeelicious. Zeal with
delicious.
Nice. Now, so back to you had just started YouTube videos.
Okay, so I was done. I was out of school, and of course, no direction, nothing. I remember it was my ex-boyfriend's kitchen that I actually started to experiment in. And then at the time, I remember always telling him I wanted to start something. I wanted to go on TV. I wanted to have my own cooking show on TV. So I would watch a Food Network and be like, oh, I wanted to have a show like that.
I want that.
But I'm like, looking back in hindsight, I'm like, girl, you didn't even prove yourself. How would people know to give you a show of that magnitude when you have not even proved yourself? So one day I traveled and I was in my hotel room just thinking through things. And my sister said to me, again, my sister, she comes and she says, have you checked out YouTube? Why not start on YouTube? Why not start putting out content on YouTube? So I was like, okay. So I went on YouTube. At the time, I didn't even know what YouTube was. That's how, should I use the word ignorant? There were so many things I didn't know. About YouTube, and then I went on YouTube and then searched for people doing stuff that I could relate with, like Nigerians. I didn't really find any. The only lady I found at the time was one lady in America who was doing something very shabby. I'm like, this is very poor quality. And I also found that Nigerian food was not represented very well on the internet. So I was like, okay, you know what? If the TV shows will not give me attention, I'm going to start mine.
I'm going to create mine.
And then I didn't want to create mine from a place of shabbiness. Like I didn't want to do shabby stuff. I really wanted to do the best I could at the time. So my next quest was to find somebody who would come and serve as a production person to help film the videos. I already had what I wanted to shoot. We already had the kitchen, which was my ex-boyfriend's kitchen at the time. But I just needed a production person. And so we started the Scout. And then my ex-boyfriend, I always say that I can't really complete my success story without mentioning him. So this is your flowers, just in case you're watching this video. Take it. But I'm not going to mention your name. You know yourself. Anyway, so I went to him again, and then I told him of what I wanted to do, and he was like, okay, let's look for a production person for you. And then he introduced me to somebody who now started working with me. So I sold the idea of my dream to him. I didn't have money to pay him at the time. I sold the idea to him, and he bought it, and then we started working. He was the production guy. I was the host. I was the makeup artist, the cook, the chef, the one who would go to the market, every damn thing. And for many months, we made it work until what actually now really happened. And this was what made me realize that I was making the right choice. The very first video that we put out on YouTube was a video called Egg and Plantain Frittata. That recipe went viral because I went on Instagram to promote the video. I promoted the picture of the meal. It was something people had never seen before. It was dodo on top of eggs and stuff.
Flats, like a pizza.
All of the blogs in Nigeria carried that dodo recipe. That
Earlier in business.
I went from having, I think it was 15,000 followers on Instagram at that time to having over 30,000 followers on Instagram because of that picture. That's the first time I ever went viral. I ever heard anything called virality. And then because of that, it now had a boomerang effect on the YouTube channel. And in less than a week, we had over 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube.
Or in markets then.
And that's how things just started to grow and grow. Less than 6 months, we had over 50,000 subscribers. And that's when I realized, okay, there's
something here.
And then we just started growing like that. Before long, the brand started to recognize us. We started growing in numbers, started growing in influence, started growing in impact. I would go somewhere, people would be like, Zeelicious! They know me, oh God, I beg. So that's how the whole thing started. And then I remember when we started Zolicious Foods, the YouTube channel, what I did or what I like to do, because remember I said I have a winning mentality. I like to win at what I do. So I went on the internet and searched for who's the best food YouTuber in the world. I wanted to know why are they the best, what makes them the best, and how I could tap into the knowledge, energy, and then be inspired by what they do. And then this lady comes out, I will mention her name, Rosanna Pansino.
Okay.
At the time, she had about 8.6 million subscribers on YouTube.
At the time. And then now she has over 13 or 15 million, if I'm not mistaken. And so I went on her page. I'm like, okay, this girl seems to be doing it. It's giving.
So what I did was I went to the bottom of the page to see where she started from. And she started from one tiny cubicle that wasn't even a kitchen. And then I saw her progression, how she continued. I'm like, okay, girl, I'm going to match your energy. Yes. This is the standard. And so I started watching her, started monitoring everything she
immerse her content,
observing everything. I tried to emulate her. Do some, I mean, not be like her, but in terms of the technicality of the work, like the cameras she would shoot with, the light, I wanted everything about me to be very professional. So I invested in my work, I invested in my craft, and one step at a time, one day at a time, we kept growing, and here we are today.
This is so interesting. The fact that we've spent about approximately 10-15 minutes on just this question, it's just really interesting. Now, for me, I think that the summary of all of this would be, look, see, it's nothing. If you consistently go the wrong way, you'll find something there. Maybe the wrong thing, but you definitely find something. But imagine how much effort and how much result we would get from choosing to just keep trying. Because, you know, if you didn't think, and then I think another thing that is really great is the believe in self. Like, I just know it. I'm not born for basic. There's something about me that has to be seen, heard, known, and I'm going to get it, right? I think another thing, again, would be just have people that believe in you. Like, you see your sister, yeah? If there's a place in heaven... I don't know her, but like, girl, you have like free access. Even me, I will do advocacy for you. Because you know, she really is your propeller. And then to the people that just come into our life for a season, for a reason, to be a blessing, like we want to, you know, really appreciate them. I think your story is beautiful and interesting. So I think what is even more interesting is how well you have told it and how well you have evolved it. And even as we go down the podcast, you know, see how even more she's evolving it to, you know, she's going to come up beautifully for you. Now, we have already talked about, you know, your first video. I'm sure you must have like an updated frittata.
Not actually, I don't.
No, you should. You should recreate that iconic one.
I will.
You know.
I will.
Okay, but in all of this, right? We've had the you know, the bliss, you know, the story, Are there times that you thought and you sat down and you ever for once, before your virality, before the support, you thought, maybe not? Maybe, I know my vision, but maybe I'm asking for way more than I can handle. Was there ever a time like that for you?
So I think the questions I was asking was, why were there not enough opportunities for me to live out this dream that I was dreaming? I know what I felt. And that's why I always tell people, right, the quickest way, or one of the fastest ways to actually discover your, not purpose in quote, but the next step you should be taking is just to looking inwards. Yourself is always talking to you. So what I was feeling was so hard, it was so strong, and it was so deep that nothing could stop me. It was like I was unstoppable. And that's why every time I encountered a no, let me tell you, I didn't even mention this in the story.
Talk to me.
We invested, I think at the time, close to 3 million or 4 million trying to shoot content to sell to a TV station. That's how much I really wanted a TV show. Back then in the days, we invested that much. We shot the content.
Do you know how much 4 million would have been?
We shot the content.
That's crazy.
Again, in my ex-boyfriend's kitchen. I'll send you pictures to insert somewhere.
Okay.
We shot the content, but the content never came out till this day. That's how much I was determined to make my vision a reality. And the 4 million wasn't my money. I didn't have no dime. I didn't have nothing. The 4 million was actually an investment from my ex-boyfriend. God, this is my ex. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it was an investment from him, and then we got the cameras, got the lights, shot the content. I don't even know where the content is, but it never saw the light of day. The point I'm trying to make is I went all out for this vision. I went all out to give that thing that was crying within me expression. And so there was never a time I questioned if this was the right thing. The question was, why are there not enough opportunities for me to express these gifts that I have?
So talking about opportunities of expression, I feel like social media and like the food space very, very recently has rapidly evolved. And, to be fair, years down, your millions of views and, and all of that. My question, I think, would be, for beginner creators, specifically food creators, with your wealth of knowledge, what would you say is, aside from consistency, obviously?
I've heard that word a million times. I'm like, it's not consistency. That
obviously, there has to be something else. What is the secret ingredient?
So there's no one secret ingredient.
Cook us the soup then.
Okay, I better cook. I better cook. So I'd say that it's not just about, because for me, when I first started Zolicious, I quickly realized it wasn't just about cooking. There was, what made me stand out was I invested in other areas, in other skills, like my personal branding. I invested in my looks, how I would show up. I already knew, I didn't know everything at once, but when I started to step into, I was very observant and very watchful and mindful. And because of that, I learned a lot of things. Zeelicious Foods, people think I'm just the lady who cooks. Now, I would say proudly and boldly that I understand everything about production. I understand lighting. I understand camera angles, how the cameras work. I had to go learn those things. I know how to edit to perfection. Now, not just edit to put things together, edit to tell stories. Now, those are skills I had to go learn. I had to learn how to show up for myself, how to stand out in a room, how to walk and ask and demand for what I want and not be shy about it. I had to master confidence. And I wasn't always this girl.
We're gonna get there.
I was the shyest. I was really a timid girl because of the background that I had from the experiences that I had as a child. But I realized those things were not paying off. And I knew cooking food wasn't going to get me to the heights of greatness I wanted to get to. So I had to go master and hone other skills that was going to get me there. Skills like confidence, building your self-esteem, knowing how to communicate effectively. Some people know the stuff, but they don't know how to communicate it.
Talk
and because
about
of
it.
that, opportunities just passes them by. Some people don't even know their value and their worth. So you see a brand, for example, would approach you, and then you are someone who offers the brand value. If if you don't know your value and your
you're not positioned properly,
you are not going to position yourself properly, and it will look like the brand is the
doing
one
you a favor.
giving you the favor. But it's a two-way street. Do you understand? So I'd say, don't just stop at knowing how to cook. Anybody can cook. Our mothers can. See, I've lost my demurity. I need to get back.
Mindful. But look, right?
Okay.
But look, right? And see that, right? It really shows me that you're not just intentional. You were talking from the heart. Right now, you were talking like, look, girl, if you don't get in and do it well, like, you will do content, girl, nothing will come out.
You're tired of doing the content.
But we're talking about demure and poiseness and, composure. There's a thin line, I believe, between reinvention and being aloof and rather fake. And, there's a soft wave right now across YouTube. I think right now on Instagram, where they teach women how to communicate softly, how to talk to him. In fact, I have to ask a man for money. I need to take that class. I need to save that. I need to take that class. But wait. So there's a wave for women that are not trying to be as hard as our mothers were, that are not trying to be the superhero women. Now, women already carry a lot of caps, but if we can drop some, why not? Now, what I want you to talk to me about is, you did share a story about how you had to, go through a rough path, and then you straightened out your path with the help of God. And,
of course, God is everything.
Doing life without God makes no sense.
Useless.
Absolutely. Just no. Immediately no.
Immediately no.
So not growing up particularly into wealth, and then reinventing yourself to being a woman of class and elegance and now excellence obviously was a journey. Now, for the young girl watching that doesn't have access to Montessori school, doesn't have access to private uni, doesn't have access to culinary classes, to yoga classes, to speech therapy, but she would like to be the best version of herself, showing up every day, confident, classy, poised. What would you say is an everyday tip? Because I know that that's your forte, that she has to start to apply and then build up into being that.
So it's not just a tip.
Okay.
Remember I said, for me, it's not just one ingredient. There's so many layers and components to things. And I will use myself as a case study and tell you what I did that helped me and has helped a lot of other people as well that I know personally and some that I don't even know. So the very first thing I'd advise anybody who is looking to level up their lives, especially with regards to how they carry themselves, how they show up with grace and with confidence, is, first of all, go back into the past. Go back to your foundational years and heal from your traumas. That's always my advice to anyone, because we have a lot of adults, humans, who have the mindset and the mentality of babies.
Babies, yes.
We have a lot of adults who are moving around with wounded inner, they call it
inner child.
Yes. You see an adult, a full-grown adult, acting like a 5-year-old child, throwing tantrums around. And that's because their foundational years were pretty much messed up. So the solution, the first step is to go back and deal with your traumas. A lot of us had experiences. I always say that we were born into a system that we didn't have control of. For a long time during our foundational years, we were under the authority and control of our parents. We had to accept their cultures, their beliefs, their systems, and all of that. And those were our foundational years. Remember, the foundation of anything is actually the most important part of that thing. So if you were born into a family or a household where your parents were not quality people, then you need to look back and go and remove yourself from whatever it is that you may have learned that has now shaped your belief system and your mindset. That's the first thing you need to do. A lot of people are carrying baggages from their past that they need to drop. An adult is not supposed to be shy. I'm sorry. And shyness has nothing to do with you being an introvert. They're two different things. I don't believe that an adult should not show up for themselves confidently. The reason why a person will not be confident or have a lot of insecurities is because there's something that is still holding
There's
them.
probably something that was said to you.
Thank you.
A reaction to
something that happened.
That just cut
maybe
that
your
part
mother
of
was
you.
not hands-on, your father was never there, somebody molested you, somebody abused you verbally, somebody did something happened, maybe may have even been a series of events. So my first advice is always go back, heal from your traumas. Secondly, I would say become more self-aware. I didn't go to any school. I didn't go to a finishing school. I didn't have the money to do that. But I became self-aware of the woman I was. I realized where I was at the time. And I said, okay, where I wanted to be somewhere else. So I created a vision for myself. I did that by seeing people who I wanted to be like. And then I would either carve their pictures and put somewhere in my room or put it on my phone. And then I would just always look at them and watch how they do things. And I always say, use Google and Google things. You want to learn how to sit like a woman? How do I sit like a woman? You will have a lot of things coming out. So the second point is just pretty much become more self-aware. Be self-aware of your actions, your reactions, the words, how you speak, how you talk. The next 5 minutes, ask yourself, you can even, I go very fast sometimes.
You record it?
I put a camera in front of me and I'm like, okay, I want to know how I was with this conversation. How did I talk? What was my tone like? So that extreme level of self-awareness would actually help you start to be mindful of how you show up and you show out. Of course, again, like I said, you go on the internet and learn things. How do I dress? You don't know how to put your outfits together. Learn color combinations, learn your body type. These are things that you can easily find. You can get information on from the internet. I have a whole YouTube channel that teaches you all of that, so you can go check it out. Yeah. So my advice would be heal from your traumas, become more self-aware, and then learn every day. It's all about learning and then growing.
This is really beautiful, right? I feel like what you said, as much as it's key knowledge, some people already know this. The actual problem is in the fact that they do not want to be perceived as doing too much, right?
Okay.
So let's say that you have a couple of friends, y'all grew up together, and y'all already accustomed to, a style, a vibe, certain way of living, and then you're like, you know what? I want better for myself. So I'm not going to, keep doing things this way. I think like the actual reason why people do not, they might have all this knowledge, but they don't want to apply it could be because they don't want to seem like I'm falling off. Like I'm trying to be fake. So for instance, I went through your School of Excellence page, and on the comment section when you, I think even on YouTube too, when you teach people how to, come down from a car, how to eat right, how to sit right, you would see a comment there like, now the one with in my mind, now I could do. Like, why do I have to do that? I could just be normal, right? So I feel like if someone right now is watching and they think, I want to do better for myself, but they are more concerned about the perception and the reaction of people to their, perceived change, what would you say they would use as a countermeasure to shut those people off and just like, I'm going to do better?
So before I answer the question, I think I want to address that thing about the comments. Sometimes people, because of the way I put out those videos, those 1 minute videos where you go, because of the way I put out the videos, people look at those videos like as cruise. And then they just type things out of cruise.
Okay.
I've never met a person, and trust me, people even know me more for that thing that I
do. Than food? Okay.
And everywhere I go, the feedback I get is, Winifred, thank you.
Oh, really?
Thank you for showing me how to sit. Thank you for showing me how to stand. Thank you for showing me how to behave. The responses I get from those people in person, these are not what they call them keyboard warriors. These are real human beings who are coming to say thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yes, for whatever it is I'm doing. So I really don't hold the comments with a pinch of salt, because somebody can just come and be catching cruise and say whatever. But to answer the question, right? Yes, there's a thin line between showing up for yourself and then forming something that you're not. But I always say that when you become aware of your vision and the purpose that you want to fulfill on the earth, right? When you're fully aware of it, you already know how you need to show up
for that person
you want to become. So if I say to myself, I want to be a multi-million or multi-billion naira woman who owns multiple businesses, who is a woman of impact and a woman of influence, I can't show up scattered and anyhow.
I'm going to carry myself like one.
Carry myself like who I'm looking to become. So because of that, I stay loyal to the vision and ignore the noise. So you keep saying you don't want people to think, did people send you to the earth? Is what I ask people. So who are you loyal to? Why are you concerned so much about what people think about you? Why are you burning so much energy concerning yourself with what people think? Why not channel that energy into staying loyal to your vision and showing up? I always say that there is nothing to lose when you show up for yourself better. There is nothing to lose when you become a more refined version of yourself.
Sure.
We live in a society, unfortunately, where this refinement thing is not what is taught us from our young years. So we find a lot of us, not just women now, even guys. You find guys doing the most ridiculous things. Like them, even publicly, privately, it ought not to be. So the answer I'm just going to give is, have you discovered your vision and your purpose and the direction you want to go? Does the way you are currently, does it align with that vision? If it doesn't align, then you better sit up. Sit up, effect that change and do better. So that when you eventually start the path of fulfilling your purpose, the chances of accomplishing that purpose will be faster when you have leveled up yourself. I think that's what I'll pretty much say. I give tough love, guys. I'm so sorry if I'm not being nice and demure right now. Tough love.
It's necessary. It's necessary.
Say some love.
I think like one thing I want to add is that, because I find that a lot of people say, oh, women that do that are trying to be pick-me women and they're trying to like center men. I'm like,
sweetie, I want to ask a question.
Hex me.
Do I look like I'm a pick-me girl?
No, you look like you're a fine girl.
Like, to be honest, I think that mindset also stems from a place of deep insecurity. Because why would you think that you're doing something to satisfy someone else
when it's like supposed to be for you?
Okay, wait, I woke up this morning, did this makeup, wore my hair, put on this beautiful outfit by my beautiful designer because of a man. I did it because of me. The podcast. Come on. The world is going to watch me. I have to come correct.
Shut up, beautiful.
Don't ever think. I think first of all, the people who have that mindset need to understand that your world should not be centered around a man.
No.
Let it not be centered around a man.
No.
You are a full woman who has a life to fulfill, a purpose to fulfill. Your life is not... See, I don't even blame them, to be quite honest, because when I was in my younger teenage years, up until maybe I was 21, I always thought and believed that the only thing I was born to do was to get married, to be a wife to someone.
Me too.
Until God resets my brain and said, girl, you better.
Listen.
I have plans for you and you're not going to
listen.
I didn't bring you here to be... My dear, I sucked up to every man around I tried to be in their good books, do what they wanted me to do. But that was one of the most unhappiest days of my life. But thankfully, in my early 20s, I was liberated from that foolish mindset. And I quickly realized that I also had a purpose to fulfill. And then I started to, of course, empower myself with knowledge and information. And before long, I changed the mindset. So I really don't blame them because I've been there and I understand how someone can think that their whole existence is just so that they can get in the good books of a man. But please, if you're watching and you have that mindset, you have a whole life. Don't center your whole life around a man. It's not worth it. I promise.
I mean, in affirmation to what she's saying, I think I'm just going to say that nobody's asking you to decenter men, right? Course, I'm asking you to center yourself. Okay.
Wow, love it. You just said it in a few words.
That's it. you are just as important, as right, as the man. Yes. Right? And this your life is only one.
One.
Live it well.
Live it well.
Now, talking about living well, right? Let's talk a little about food, Nigerian food to be precise. Now, I'm a gym girly. Okay. Very avid. I'm trying to build, my glutes. That's how we say it now. I saw girl. I'm trying to build my glutes, one hip thrust, one step up at a time. Now, if you're in the gym, you know that the problem is actually not in the lifts.
It's not.
It's in the food.
It's in the food.
Now, is it possible for Nigerians to have a full lunch, dinner, breakfast that is high in protein, that does not include whey protein, ski yogurt, cheese, all of that?
Absolutely.
Because you find that the content that we consume up until very recently, and I'm not even saying YouTube content, because a lot of niche YouTube content creators like yourself have opened us up to an array of Nigerian meals that look beautiful, are healthy, not a lot of oil, that give you as much nutritional value and protein as required, right? So my question is basically, because I know that you've run like a detox program for people. Now, what is a typical Nigerian, maybe not even in the gym, looking to achieve like a healthy lifestyle? What would you say should be the key component of their meals? Could you give me now this is probably like too free and information, but I don't know if you're feeling like rather benevolent. Maybe you can just give us small something.
I like you. I will share.
See, put that on camera. She said she put it. If it is, you run now. Anyways, so what I would like to know is a typical Nigerian, not very fancy, because this Nigerian you are either poor or you are rich. There's no in the middle again. So maybe like a typical, let's even use a girl, earning somewhere within the 200s, about the 300s, is in the gym, is trying to grow a booty. What would you say her typical breakfast, lunch, and dinner could be?
Okay, if I were to give a 1-day meal plan.
Yes, high protein
1-day meal plan. I'll use myself as an example because I'm that girly.
Girl.
That. And you have to eat 3 times a day, right? Breakfast can be something like a toasted bread with avocado mash just on top of it, and then you have scrambled eggs or an egg omelette with lots of vegetables. Then you can have a yogurt bowl. A yogurt bowl that has toppings and maybe chia seeds in it. Now, everything I've mentioned has some form of protein to it, apart from the toasted bread.
Yes.
Now, the toasted bread is important because you use the carbohydrates.
Right, to lift heavy.
So just 1 slice or 1.5, depending on your body weight. But then the avocado, the chia seed, the yogurt, and then the egg omelette or scrambled eggs, depending on how you want to make it, will give you the amount of protein that you need for that breakfast. For lunch. So I always like to let people be aware of how the food you eat has an impact on your body. So if your goal is to lose body fat, there's something called body fat, right? What you should be seeking to do is support the work of your insulin, because your insulin is a fat storing hormone, right? You want to do everything possible to support the work of the insulin. An insulin supportive diet looks like a low carb, high protein, high fat diet. So everything you eat has to support the work of the insulin so that it stops storing fat in your body. Now, to support that work, this is what happens. Everything we eat converts very quickly to sugar in the body.
Yeah, sure.
Now, the quickest category of food that converts the fastest is carbohydrates, especially simple carbohydrates.
Simple carbs.
And most Nigerians are big on
Simple
simple carbohydrates. You see them either eating just their rice, no vegetables, or their eba, mountain load of eba like this, or yams and pastries and bread. Somebody wants to eat bread, they're having like 4-5 slices in a day. You're hurting your insulin. Do you understand? So to support the work of the insulin, you need to now start having a high protein diet. Now, high protein is very good for muscle building as well, but it's also perfect for supporting the work of the insulin, and it will keep you
satiated for
longer. That's what I found. Carbohydrates don't keep me satiated for longer. For example, I can have a chia seed cereal bowl in the morning, and I find that the next time I'm thinking about food is maybe much later in the evening or never at all.
Do you know something? Sorry to cut you short, right?
Fine.
So my typical breakfast in the office would be a yogurt bowl. In a yogurt bowl, I would have, or even like an overnight oat.
That's beautiful too.
Yeah. So I'd have like, I find I have a problem with texture. Texture of food sometimes it just annoys me. So I have like granola in it. I have like grapes in it. Yeah, for the crunch, yes. I have grapes in it. I have apple. I have basically fruits that are in season. Now, you said to eat 3 times a day. The thing is, this yogurt bowl is so delicious. There's so much nutrients in it. There's so much fiber in it. I find that I'm so filled up that it's like 2 in the afternoon. I'm like, wait, that's true. I've not even had, lunch to eat. So I found out over time that the reason why is because of how much protein It's in the yogurt bowl, and then how much fiber I have. I'm so filled up that my body's taking a lot of time to digest it, and like there's so much nutrients. It's delicious, and I don't have to eat till noon. Much later. Now, so going back to we've talked about breakfast, right? Now lunch, right? People say, like in my office, like if you guys are watching this, I love you, right? I have a colleague that we had a little bit of a fracas because of it. I'm sorry, my love. I like to eat fufu.
Girl, you better eat your fufu. It's your full chest.
And my chest is full. Oh no, I'm not even like this. But so I go to the gym immediately after work, like say 6 o'clock, and I find that any day that I eat fufu, because what I do is like the fufu is the side dish. You see the protein and the vegetables, that's the main thing. I find that when I go to the gym, I be lifting like 120 on my hip thrust. My kickback is perfect. So my question now is, the normal Nigerian would eat swallow as dinner, and then eat something light as lunch. So I want to know if I am wrong or if they are right, and if is it true that fufu is not a girly food? Because I'm not stopping anytime soon.
There's no such thing as a girly food. At the end of the day, it's what you, and there's nothing wrong with eating fufu. Absolutely nothing. What you just need to do is, of course, watch your portions and then support the work of your insulin. If I find myself eating a bowl of fufu, I mean, regardless of how much portion controlled it is, immediately I'm done. I don't just go lay down. I take a walk. So do something that burns up what you have just consumed immediately.
That's why I'm going to the gym.
Yes. So and that's why I always say to those who go to the gym, don't go to the gym on an empty
stomach.
Eat your carbs, dears. Eat your carbs. You need the energy for the workout. If not, you will just end up grumpy, annoyed, tired, and frustrated, and make it look like the gym is punishing you. You are punishing yourself. You don't need to actually starve to get the best out of the gym, in my opinion. And to clarify what you just said, I don't even recommend people eating 3 times a day. If you can eat once a day, that's the best for your body. Your body doesn't need so much. You see, the more you eat, the more you're giving your body work, and the more you're dragging your body down. But that is a machine, and you need to think of it like that. Now imagine you as a blender, and you load your blender up with food, a lot of food. How do you want the blender to break it down, no matter how high powered it is? But now, if you now think of you as a blender still, and then you are adding just little amount of food into your body, the blender can easily blend it all up, and then your body can easily digest it. I don't know if that makes sense. So your body doesn't need a lot of food to thrive. In fact, you can go so long without food. It's water you can't go a long time without. With food, without food, you can go up to 40 days. People do fasting.
Yes, no.
So you can go a long time without eating. It's water you cannot go a long time without having.
Drink your water.
So please be drinking your water. And then if you're a gym person who goes to the gym a lot, please, the best times to eat, like I think that's why we were trying to ask me, I would definitely advise that the best time to eat eba would be in the afternoon, not at night. Because at night, we have the tendency of going to bed immediately as soon as we're done eating. So only those who have the discipline of staying awake or maybe taking a walk, I don't even recommend eating heavy at night. What you find is a lot of people wake up tired, and you wonder, why are you waking up tired? You were sleeping, but your body was not sleeping.
You still had to process.
Your body was working, processing the food you had just eaten the night before. That's why you would now wake up tired. And that's why we advise, please don't eat heavy at night. So your heavy meals, keep it for the day because you're still active, and then your activities will be able to burn up the calories that you consumed. Yes.
So then what would a typical dinner be then?
So a typical dinner would be pepper soup. Oh girl, I love my pepper soup with lots of meat.
Yes.
A salad bowl. You can even have a rice salad bowl. We're not saying don't eat your carbs at night. You can still eat it, but be mindful. So what I do is I make my soups so rich that it doesn't require swallow. So if I'm making okra soup, for example, I'm adding lots of okra, lots of veggies. It becomes very thick. Maybe I'll share videos with you guys to insert. It becomes very thick, and then you have lots of protein in there, lots of fish pieces. With every scoop, you're
there's something.
Where's the eba though? I'm not missing that.
And it's feeling too.
Feeling, and you're satisfied.
Okay, so now you got that for free. Say thank you.
You better say thank you. But I have an array of meal plans that anyone who is looking to inculcate healthily eating into their lifestyle can just go choose from, and it can help them. We have a detox meal plan, the diabetes meal plan. We have a low carb meal plan, weight loss meal plan, healthy meal plan. We're working on one for the gym bodies, which is the high protein one.
You better.
Because in fact, this is not even for the gym bodies alone. Everybody needs to prioritize high protein.
Proteins. Yes, you do.
High protein is actually what helps us build our bodies and helps ensure that the muscles are very well nourished.
So you're in your 70s and you can work. So let's talk about, the reinvented you. I just like the concept of like there's never a final bus stop.
Never.
Right? Just when you think that's about it, ooh, tada, there's something new. Now talk to me about the Winnie's School of Excellence.
Okay.
Talk to me about your coming event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Winnie School of Excellence recently rebranded. We're known as Winnie School of Elegance. And the vision for Winnie School of Elegance was to teach people, not women. I don't know why people always say women.
Because I think it's only women that
no, men actually also learn a lot of things. So people segregated because I'm a woman. But it's just to teach people poise, confidence, how to show up refined, looking like your best self. But as we progressed on the journey, I realized very quickly that the real work wasn't on the outside.
That's an inside.
If we had continued in that path, what we were telling people to do was fake things. Like
it's superficial.
Yes. And I was like, no, the real work is actually on the inside. Because when you work on yourself on the inside, it automatically shows itself on the outside. So I found that the content we're putting out on the YouTube channel were content that were more targeted towards mind development. So, and anytime I would go back into my room to develop a content or a video, it was very hard for me to fit it into the box of elegance because of the mindset people have about elegance. People think elegance is just how you show up, how you sit, how you stand, and all of that. So I was like, okay, you know what? Should I stay stuck with the name Winnie School of Elegance, or should we rebrand into something that now fits the real vision? Because I'm so passionate about helping people live their full potential. I believe everybody has resources in them to thrive at the highest level of life. Unfortunately, not a lot of people know these resources. And even when they know, they don't know how to tap into it and use it to make the most beautiful life or create the most beautiful life that they deserve. God put things in everybody. Everybody was designed to succeed and prosper. Unfortunately, not everybody will. Because most people are living in ignorance and don't know how to take the things that have already been deposited in them and craft out a beautiful vision and a purpose for their life so they can be going in the direction they were born to go in. So I feel, my real purpose on earth is I'm on a mission. I'm a woman on a mission to help everybody that comes in contact with me or I come in contact with to become the very best version of themselves and live out their full potential. And so the reason I now decided to go full blown out with it is in my inner circle, I find even people would tease me and say, girl, who sent you? Every time I have a service provider, maybe a driver or a cook or somebody come in my world, the next thing I'm asking them, okay, what do you want to do with your life? Where are you? What do you see yourself doing? Okay, I don't want you driving me after 1 year. Did you finish school? Do you want to go back to school? I find myself so invested in them that I want them to help. I want to help them because I feel like, drivers, it's cute, but is it the best? Is that why God brought you here? So I'm not shading drivers. Please don't get me wrong. So I'm drawn to helping people just open up their eyes
the best version of themselves.
To see that there's more and you can be more. And so because I'll do that with people around me, I was like, okay, why not do that on
a grander scale
to more people? And then we started the journey and I found that people were so drawn to the content that I would film on mind development on the YouTube channel. And I was like, okay, it's about time. So I went to God, spoke to him about it, and he's like, girl, yes, I give you permission. You can rebrand to Winnie School of Excellence. See, all the while, when we started the whole etiquette one video doing that sound that I usually would make that got everybody to know me as the etiquette queen, I didn't know that it was literally God directing my path one step at a time to what we're currently doing now as Winnie School of Excellence.
Okay.
So Winnie School of Excellence is now here. And the main vision is to just equip people with the strategies, the tools, the resources to go inside, see that they actually have content, they have resources, and they need to put it to good use. I I always use this analogy of, you ask God for a cake. You're asking God, give me a cake. God gives you the baking powder, he gives you flour, he gives you eggs, he gives you sugar, he gives you the pan, he gives you an oven maybe. And then he says, go bake yourself the biggest goddamn cake. But because you are too blinded to see that you have all the resources, you're not able to now go and develop the skill you now need to just use the resources that have already been given to you to make the cake. So you are still there begging God for what he has already done. So you are begging God. God is begging you. I've given you. Can you do it on your face? Will I do everything for you? Mm-hmm. So you mentioned the spiritual part at the intro when we were trying to talk about, you were trying to introduce me, how I wanted to infuse the spirituality and stuff. Now, we live in a world, in the part of the world that is so heavy on religion. I heard somebody say that and it has stuck in my head since then. We're so heavy on religion, but our results we're not producing no results. So how can we say we're so big? And God is a results-driven God. Right. God is so big that, you can't be saying you follow God and then you're not living at the highest level of your life. There is a mismatch somewhere. So you think God is waiting, is going to come give you something. My dear, he has given you something already. And I think that my job is to now help you see what he has given you and then help you tap and then put it to good use. Because at the end of the day, God has a part to play, which I believe he has played. You have a part to play as well. So most people are not playing their part, not because they don't want to.
They don't know how to.
They don't just know how to. Nobody taught them.
I feel like at the end of the day, it's a case of like, you're already blessed, you don't know it, number one. And then it's a case of like, you need to give God something to bless, to work with, right? Because like, he's not going to come to your house. He might sometimes, and come drop the money.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's in the people that it's in the way that you're able to communicate your values to other people. It's in the places that you show up. There is no better time for this to be happening. I feel like it's an entire movement that you're starting.
God is in my story.
He's in your story, and he's around already. So talking about, I'm going to have to narrow this down a little to women, just primarily because I feel like the typical woman does not have access to as much resources and privileges. In my books, I might be wrong, but then that's my story. Okay. Nobody has any right to tell me it's not true.
Okay, darling.
Thank you very much.
I apologize.
Oh my God, but what I'm saying is that what is the biggest mindset block that you... Okay, you know what? Let's not generalize it. Let's not say it's about women. What's the biggest mindset block that you find that really talented people have? So, for instance, when you started at Zeelicious Food, you knew that you could do this. You knew that you were working in your purpose. But what would you say is probably a mindset block that you had to snap out of to become this version of yourself?
The mindset block is the mindset itself. So you cannot want this and have a mindset that functions here. You want this, you need to unblock that mindset and elevate it to function here. The quickest ways to do it is expose yourself. Become knowledgeable. There's information everywhere. Nothing is impossible. Girl, see, that statement is one of the best statements I ever heard in my life. And when I started to realize the weight of that statement was when I realized how, when the Bible says that we're made in the image and in the likeness of God. Think about everything God made, yes.
Perfect.
Apart from being perfect, right? Everything God made is self-sustaining of itself. God doesn't need to come down to make the rain fall or the plants grow when you put something in the soil.
And think about it, like everything is in motion. The sun knows that it's going to shine.
It's supposed to come up.
It knows that it's going to... evaporation knows when to happen. Condensation knows when to happen.
The point I'm trying to make is, if we know that we are made in the image and in the likeness of God. Now, when you go back to the story of creation, there's this at the beginning of the Genesis 1:1 where we said God created, and God said no, not before God said let there be, was what God created the heavens and the earth. I listened to a message by Miles Monroe where he talked about that the meaning of the word create there is called bara in the Hebrew.
Talk to me.
And that bara actually means creating something out of nothing. The only way you can do that is to go inside your mind and get it done there. So when you see
make it here and then make it
bringing
here.
it out. So God first created here before he brought it out. So you want to see people, the mistake people make is they are living from the outside in. But guess what, guys? Everything you see in the physical is as a result of something that's happened inside here.
Someone thought it first.
Someone thought it before it became real. So you too you just need to go inside and change your mindset. Your mindset is the block that needs to be unblocked. I say that with so much respect and meekness in my heart. So you want a life, anybody can have anything regardless of your country of residence, regardless. Look at my life. I always use my life as an example. When I first started my journey, I never in my life thought
that you'd be where you are right now.
I'm going to be where I am right now. But I saw that it was possible, and then I started to build myself by arming myself with knowledge and information. Then I created a vision for my life. And when you're creating a vision, don't make it a small vision.
Be delusional. It's so little.
Be so delicious. So one thing I do is I'm actually working on a book called From Stuck to Unstoppable. Yes, it's actually a book that teaches how you use the principles of the power of your mind and your words of affirmation to create the most beautiful life. Those were the principles that worked for me. And in that book, I'm breaking things down. I go as far. Let me tell you how you can use your mind to delulu yourself into reality.
Tell me.
When I was in my maybe 21, no, what am I saying? In my teen years, like I told you, I already knew that I was born for something because I could hear myself talk to me, right? When everybody would go out of the house, my mom had gone out, I was the only one at home. I would go on my mom's dining table, sit at the head chair. At 15, my darling, I would sit down at the head of that chair and imagine that everybody on that chair
was answering to you.
Where my team members were working on a project. See, I wrote my cookbook, the cookbook I have now, the Winnie Sizzling Selection. I wrote it at 16. In my mind first. The book only came into existence at 27. And when I first wrote that book, I never would have thought that I would write a book. Like, the circumstances around me did not, in fact, it was the most impossible thing at the time. I was sharing one room with 6 people. Yeah, I was in an environment, I'll even tell you where I lived. I've lived in Shomolu, Onipan, places like, I'm so proud to say it because, yeah, I tell people, you can be anything you want to be if you know how to use your mind. So the blockage is the mindset, and you need to shift that mindset from where it is now to where you want it to be. So stop looking at life from the outside in. Look at life from the inside out. You are like God. You want to be, what do you want to be? Another strategy I use, I have a vision board. So the first time I got into this vision board activity was about 3 years ago. I created a vision board for 5 years of my life. And I put things on the vision board. My sister.
Tell me you've ticked.
Every single one of them. And I'm not even joking. Now, it doesn't come from wishful thinking. I have this grand vision. I cut out papers and things that inspire me, pasted it on the vision board. And then every day I'll say, that's the woman I want to be. I have a vision for every aspect of my life, my work, my business, my personal life, my children. I've started seeing the vision for my children. I don't have children yet, but I already know what kind of children I want to have, how I want my children to be, what my expectations of them are. And then I found out that the vision board I created 3 years ago, for the next 5 years of my life, had manifested already in less than 3 years. Everything. And one day I was praying, because this is what I usually would do. Every morning, that vision board is in my bedroom. So every morning I will stay in front of it. I'm a prayer woman. I don't even joke with prayer. Every morning after I'm done with my general prayer, I go on that vision board and I'm speaking in tongues just at the vision board for an hour. I'm just there talking and talking. And as I'm talking in tongues, right, the Spirit of God builds up. And then, of course, the things I put on the vision board are not things that come out of wishful thinking. They are things that I brought out from inside of me that I know that I'm supposed to be doing.
They are aligned.
They are aligned with my purpose. They are not just anything. They are well aligned with my purpose. And then God puts words in my mouth that now come in form of affirmations. And I'm speaking to anything that needs to hear me. I always say that my neighbors, they're probably tired of me because I shout when I'm making my affirmations. I don't even keep quiet. And I find that every single thing on that vision board has manifested or is in the process of becoming a manifestation without any hindrance. So 2 months ago, when I sat down in front of the vision board, I'm like, okay, what am I praying about again?
I've done it.
And the Holy Spirit said to me, girl, dream a new dream. And that's the reason why we are now dreaming a new dream, rebranding Winnie's Club Elegance to Winnie's Club Excellence, having our first masterclass.
Talk to me about that.
That's one of the, okay. At the beginning of the year, I said, okay, God has said I should dream a new dream, Abi. What is that one thing that I needed to do to launch me out of my comfort zone so that I can do this thing that God has called me to do on a bigger scale? Because my comfort zone was what? Staying behind the camera, talking to the people, and I'll just put out the video. I never really had physical connections with them. And I'm not talking about what we do with Zolicious Foods. I'm talking about what we do with Winnie's School of Elegance that has now rebranded to Winnie's Club Excellence. And then I said to myself, okay, girl, it's time to come out from behind the camera or in front of the camera and start reaching real people.
Making real impact
real impact with real people. And so the very first step towards achieving that vision was to rebrand. So we rebranded from Winnie's Club Elegance to Winnie's Club Excellence. And then we now started the works. We have a lot of works in the pipeline, but the very first one is the Masterclass with Winnie 1.0. Now, the reason I decided to start with Masterclass with Winnie 1.0 is very simple. A lot of people are going on their journey in life with no form of direction. They just found themselves where they are, and they're like, they're just going with the flow. I wish that I knew now what I knew back then when I was in my teenage years, what I know now. My life would have accelerated faster because, so the masterclass with Winnie is pretty much about vision and purpose mastery. That's what we're going to be teaching there. Vision and purpose mastery, competence development, actionable goal setting, personal branding, and financial empowerment. Now, these 5 things are the things that if anybody masters, if you master these 5 things, you can literally go from here to where you want to be. In fact, you don't even have to know where you want to be. Come for the class. I will show you how you can go from here to the highest level of your life. You would see your life in 3D because if you can't tap into it, I will help you tap inside.
When is it again?
It's on the 7th of June.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. So, you know the vibe. Girl power. You know. So
pretty much the reason why we chose the topics for the masterclass is
because I'm signing in.
But you better.
Yeah.
Of course, you're signing in.
You guys can forget the conversation that we had in the office.
I'm not forgetting.
That's not.
It's our turn. Inside joke, guys. You won't get it.
Well, yeah, talk to me.
Okay, so the reason we picked the topics was because the topics are actually tailor-made for transformation. So anyone who would just master these 5 things that I just mentioned can literally now have a blueprint to work with to design their life with intention so that you stop living every day hoping that things will fall into place. No, you make things fall into place.
Open the doors.
Stop waiting for things. Things never fall into place. And would you rather that you had the strategies and the tools to help you go on your journey than just keep trying and failing and trying and failing and see which one works? Because I heard you say something at the beginning. You said trying actually gets you something, even when you're going in the wrong direction, but at least you're making effort. But would you rather not want to go in the right direction and then do the right things that accelerates your growth so that you're not, I don't believe that you should be, I don't want to mention an age range, but everybody should thrive at every point in your life. You should be thriving at the highest level at that level, right? So if you're 30, for example, and you find that there is no stereotype for age. That's why I don't want to bring in age as a factor.
I totally understand you. I think what you're trying to say is that at every stage of and in your life, you should be living you should be at the echelon of what that
level or stage.
Yes, and this has nothing to do with the perceived conception of people. Is like, for me, this is like the best that I can do for myself right now. With the resources that I have, I'm going to do the best with it
in alignment with your purpose. Because I always say that life is useless. Life has no meaning if you don't know your purpose. You would wake up, do things, you'll be tired. Now, someone told me that, see, when I was still all about chasing shadows, I didn't have direction, I didn't know where I was going. Someone said, Winnie, and I was always tired. I was trying, my darling. I was doing the work.
Everything.
I was putting in effort. I'll come back, my back is broken. Why? But I wasn't making any real progress. So this person said to me, girl, they call me by my Igbo name, Chibundo. See, you're not making progress because you are tired or you're doing too. No, you're not tired because you are doing too much. You're tired because you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that thing resonated. I'm looking back now at that statement. My sister, nobody works harder than me. I'm the hardest working person in the room. Sometimes it gets overwhelming. But I find that even when I get tired, I don't get tired to give up. I get tired and I'm like, okay, let's rest. We'll continue tomorrow. And we are continuing tomorrow with excitement. Not like, okay, this work, I beg.
Don't tire me.
The work will be tiring and you will not have the motivation to move forward when you're doing the wrong thing. You know something is in alignment with your purpose when you're doing it, and then you're giving it your best shot. And even when you're not seeing results, you keep going because you know that you're on the right direction. And sooner rather than later, and in just a matter of time, the results will start speaking for itself.
Coming through. Yes. I mean, you're so passionate about this.
I am. I think I always say I lose my elegance when I'm talking about just my purpose.
But I mean, it shows how genuine, it is. Yeah. So as we slowly start to wrap this up, I want you to talk to me about the legacy that you're building in two ways. The legacy that you're trying to build for yourself right now, but most importantly, since we're all about impact, the legacy that you're trying to build for the Nigerian woman. I mean, let's not even be small-minded. For women in Nigeria and beyond, what's that legacy?
Okay, so I want to change the narrative. I want to change what you just said. It's not women now. It's
for people.
Individuals.
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, let's just take. Let me take the whole question again.
Because I feel like women, we have a lot of people. There's so much attention on us, and the men are being neglected, and these men are the ones that actually really need. Yeah, because it feels like attention has shifted from the men and focus on the women. And some men, I'm not generalizing, right? But the men also need this help as much as the women. In fact, we had to start a segment on the Women's Club Excellence called the Dear Men segment, because the men thought that we were segregating and leaving them out of the conversation. And I would always get messages and comments saying,
there's nothing for us.
Here. What's up now? Why are you always talking about the girls?
What about us? Cute.
So we started the Dear Men segment. So I just wanted to correct that. What we're doing is not just for women. It's for men and women. And the legacy, right? The vision that I gave to my team members who are working with me on this vision is I want us to reach 100,000 people in 5 years. Okay. Now, when I say 100,000, I'm not talking Instagram followers or YouTube followers. I'm talking real people,
actual individuals
who actually would go through the things that we're working on, whether it's through the masterclass or through the mentorship programs that we're going to be creating or through the courses that we're going to be doing, the conferences we're going to be hosting. 100,000 people who go through our system and come out. It's like someone who's trying to lose some weight, some fat, right? They enroll in a weight loss program. And then the weight loss coach is saying, just give me 12 weeks.
And I'm going to
turn your life around. And so that's what we're pretty much trying to do, to let people come as you are, wherever it is that you are, come into our system. We will help you literally set a trajectory for your life that's within the confines of your purpose. So that everything that you're doing will be well aligned with what you're supposed to be doing. So you can derive fulfillment and satisfaction. It's a tall order, but we're equal to the task. Because this vision is not coming from a place of just another new idea. It's not a new idea for me. It's not coming from a place of, okay, Winifred is tired of Zolicious, for they now do another thing. No. This is my purpose. This is why I was born and what I was born to do. And I know this so well because I will find myself in my bedroom. During my prayer times, I will find myself wailing in prayer for people I don't know. I pray for my WSC community members. And when I'm praying, I'm not just praying a passive prayer from an active place. I'm trying I use their comments. Sometimes I print out their comments and I'm praying on their behalf, try to call out their names, bring them before God. I open my spiritual eyes, see them as spirit beings, and I'm raising them, bringing an altar on their behalf to God, talking to God about them, and letting God know that this thing that we're doing, I don't just want my words to be words that make people feel good. I want life to be ministered to them as we speak. And so that's why and even when I'm not even praying, sometimes I find myself in the office working and I'm led to pray for these people. A deep desire and urge to pray. So for me, it's not just another idea, it's my purpose. And so I am ready to throw in my back, my weights, my resources. And I know God has blessed us with the ability and the gifts to do this thing and do it well. And we are about that mission. And that's why I said it's a tall order, but we're equal to the task. Yes.
Oh my God. This is so refreshing, especially because I can't really count how many people are in this space and are willing to break their backs, to impact as many lives as possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time, for the warmth.
I want to cry a little bit. I don't know why.
I had goosebumps at the point. The friendship. I feel like I've known you for a long time. Your truth, for sharing your story, even giving us a very quick meal, plan.
For the day.
You're a living proof that purpose, faith, resilience, excellence, the right mindset, God can all coexist in a powerful way, in a beautiful way. And I just want to say thank you. I'm so happy that our paths cross. And to you listening, if this episode lit fire and you got your eyes opened, if you found value, if you're silently building in the background and you at the point have thought maybe I can't do this, maybe this dream is too big for me, maybe I should pipe down a little, maybe I'm not really what the reinvention. I just hope that for the love of God, that this episode has somehow transformed your life. I just hope that you keep showing up every day for yourself with faith, with consistency, with the fire that God has put in your heart. And I'm very sure when the seed that you have planted starts to sprout, we and every other person in your life will be around to tell you, well done, and you've done a good job. Thank you so much, because at the end of the day, success is a strategy. The question I'd always say is, do you have the right one? And if you're looking for really steadfast strategies on excellence and on business, you should go to Winifred to teach you how to do that on excellence. And if you're looking for strategies on business, that you should come for the LIMBsimple Strategy Factory, happening every Friday, the last Fridays of the month. It's an absolute pleasure to have you again.
Thank you for having me. Thank
you. You're welcome. Until I see you in the next episode, be steadfast and work hard. You will like the results.
I tell you.
Thank you so much.
Dear entrepreneurs and CEOs, did you know that 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years of conception and only a very little fraction make it to 7 figures? Are you currently struggling with scaling your business, customer attraction, customer retention? Then you are definitely not alone. What if I told you that there are proven systems that could turn your business into a revenue generating machine? With over 4,000 businesses transformed and 53 of which are already doing $1 billion in revenue annually, we do not just teach you how to do business, we teach you how to actually win in business. At the Strategy Factory, you get the exact roadmap to scale your business, build a sellable business, attract high-value customers, make strategic decisions with confidence, make the most of your business, and also unlock powerful networking opportunities. Do not let your business become yet another failure statistics. Success is a strategy. The question right now is, do you have the right one? If you're interested to have further conversation on the Strategy Factory with us, comment strategy in the comment section and we'll follow up with you immediately. We look forward to seeing you in the next Strategy Factory happening this month.